For part 2, skip to 21 minutes and 45 seconds. My name is Light. I am a human who joined a party in dungeon. It is a group of 9 different races with a level, which define our strength. The chapter starts with a fight with a monster, everyone fighting to him, but I have no strength, no armor, and no weapon. I am weak and struggling among them as a burden. They are fighting and saving me from that monster at the same time. Are you alright? This is Drago. A dragonoot, a half-dragon half-human, the leader of the party with level 512, that walks upright on 2 legs. Even though he had the outward appearance of a very scary dragon, he was actually a kind, intelligent, and dependable leader. Talk about being troublesome. You got ahead of yourself, Light. This is Sasha, an elf of 308 level. Diablo. A demon of 419 level. Nano. A dwarf of 301 level. People say this is one of the most brutal dungeon, Abyss. This is Oboro, a ghoul of 403 level. Center. A center of 152 level. As long as our gathering of races combines our power. This is Cheyenne, dark elf of 304 level. Light. Leave the fighting to us and stay back. This is Guru, a beastman of 151 level. They enter a dungeon that is supposed to be easy. However, they soon realize that the dungeon is actually a trap, and they are attacked by a horde of monsters. I try to fight back, but I am useless. I have no skill, no weapons, no armor, nothing. I am just a burden to my team. After the fight, Sasha starts shouting on Light that I can die by 1 hit, and I should learn to save myself. She is always kind to me. They called me useless. They worried that losing a member would ruin their reputation. All races agreed to Sasha. I am sorry about being useless. They going to join a party and I am excited about this. They stay at a place for some time, so I start making tea for them as they like my tea. At moment they told to Light that they decided to kick out Light from party and from group. Oh. I'm sorry about just now. I will never go out in front anymore. Please do not kick me out of the party. That's not it, we kicked you out because we don't need you anymore, Guru said. They do not need Light anymore. They think Light is dead weight, and they also ashamed of sharing space with a human because humans are weak and could not match with others' level. I am shocked with their decision. I never expected this kind of behavior from them. They act to let me in the party because they Light offer a better gift to the table. He has unlimited gacha. At the age of 10 it is very extremely small chance to get this kind of gift. I am lucky to get a gift, but it is something that I could not understand. When I push the gacha button by getting object inside the card, I can make it appear in the real world. As everyone knew, ever since I got my gift 2 years ago, I can only produce useless stuff like bread. It was a useless gift. Drago said. The higher-ups suspected that you were a master with a mysterious gift, and that's why we brought you into gathering of races for observation. But your gift was trash, and your status is just human. It was concluded that you were not a master, and that is why we don't need you anymore. Sasha agrees with Drago and said, I decided to cooperate for the sake of my country. It was to accept the blood of a master, but the thought of marrying a human gives me goosebumps. Guru laughed at Sasha. It was funny for him that they were acting friendly to me. Sasha said with irritate. Don't make me remember, it was so disgusting. I hurriedly bowed my head in shame and blurted out an apology. Master! Country! What on earth are you guys talking about? I am so sorry, Mr. Drago. If you have a problem with me, I'll be sure to fix it right away. Just please, don't throw me out of the party. Heh. We ain't got no actual problem with ya, kid. We just don't need ya anymore. We really gotta spell it out for ya. Garu the Wolfman piped up. All 3 of them looked down on me with scorn as I apologized profusely, their words devastating me even more than Drago's declaration that I was being kicked out of the party. But in that moment, they all seemed like complete strangers to me, belittling me and leering at me as if I were some kind of nasty insect or a pitiful animal they were about to start hunting. This whole situation was shocking to me, and I felt like I'd been whacked around the head with a blunt object out of nowhere. They are laughing at me, insulting me. Come on, do we really need to spend all day talking about this? We don't need the kid, so let's just kill him already. We can't have another party waltzing in here and seeing us like this. That was Nano, a dwarf with a shaggy beard that was tied to a point. He was urging everyone to kill me, acting as if he were merely tossing out a tool he didn't need anymore. Nano had been the one who'd patiently taught me how to sharpen swords and keep armor maintained at the party's manor. Nano is right. I can barely stand breathing the same air as this inferior, so I would prefer it if we brought this to a conclusion soon. That was Diablo, a tall, lanky, young demon with pale skin and devil horns growing out of his head. He had been the one who taught me proper table manners and etiquette. Sure, he had a habit of muttering the occasional snide remark directed toward me. He attacked on me with his sharp nails. I tried to escape, but I am not that fast. I duck from the first attack and smile. I still thinks it is a joke, they are playing with me. Suddenly I got the other attack. While trying to escape, I fell down. Now it is clear to me that they are not joking, and it is real, they are trying to kill me. I stand and start running, and suddenly an arrow hit me in the leg and passed through the thigh. And I fell to the ground, unable to run anymore. It was a really hard landing too, the jarring impact with the rock-littered floor of the cave-like dungeon drawing blood and turning the ground around me red. It was the arrow stuck in my leg that hurt the most, though. The beastmen come to me and kick me very hard. I am in a lot of pain and I still crouching to avoid them, but I am too slow. They are laughing on me and asking for their turn to beat me. They made a plan to tell the world that a monster attack on them, and one of their members is died, otherwise it looks suspicious. Indeed, Garu, Xian agreed, nodding along to the wolfman's sadistic remarks. He enjoys hearing the screams of the inferiors. He likes his experiments on me so much, I can't help applying even more pressure to them in response. I scream and pained expressions are especially delicious. I was crying and begging to them to let me live. But they had become monster, they are enjoying my pain. I am shouting. Why they want to kill me? What is this master thing? I am going to die without knowing anything, and no one will help me. I am dragging away from them and repeating. I do not want to die. I want to live. Though as I struggled desperately to get away, more bad luck befell me. As my outstretched right hand touched the ground, a huge curtain of light exploded from underneath it. Huh! Did he just trigger a teleportation trap? Don't let him get away! We have to kill him! In that instant, the sound of everybody's voices cut off abruptly, and for a moment, all I saw was blinding white light. Suddenly a teleportation trap is open and takes me somewhere and away from my enemies. The teleportation trap saved my life. I fell down and thanks to teleportation trap, but I am still in dungeon. I miss my family, my mother, father and my sister. I want to go back to my village. I was trying to help my family by earning some money, but it did not go well. I trusted them, respected them, but they lied to me, humiliated me, laughed at me and treated me just like trash. I am betrayed and in anger, I decided not to die here, I should take revenge and return to my family. The guttural growl that cut me off told me that my bad luck had struck again. A monster appeared out of the shadows in front of me, perhaps drawn by all the noise I was making, or perhaps because it had caught a whiff of my blood. It was a huge creature, maybe 10 meters in length, and it walked on all fours. It had a tail that was thicker than my torso and that looked a lot like a snake, even down to having its own 2 eyes and a mouth. The snake tail rippled its way through the air toward me. The monster stared at me with keen, menacing eyes as drool oozed from its mouth. Even if this had been an ordinary predator, I would have been done for, but I was in for a real shock when I saw the monster's stats screen. What? Is this some kind of joke? This can't be real! I cried. Level 1000? A person or creature can voluntarily activate their stats screens for others to see, which meant, by displaying its stats to me just to rub in how outmatched I was, the monster wasn't just intimidating me physically, it was mentally tormenting me as well. I'd had it all wrong. I'd thought the teleportation trap had sent me back to somewhere near the entrance to the middle layer of the abyss, but it turned out that it had actually transported me to the deepest part of the abyss, a completely unexplored area that nobody in the world had set foot in. I assumed that had to be the case, because there was no way I'd be face to face with a level 1000 monster otherwise. I have to get out of here. There is no way a level 15 can escape the deepest part of the abyss. There is no way to escape this monster right in front of me as well. As if to confirm this, the creature let out another guttural growl and slowly advanced toward me, obviously fully aware of how hopeless my situation was. If the monster reached me, I'd probably suffer a fate worse than death on the wrong end of its carnivorous teeth. But I wasn't dead yet. I'm not going to die without finding out the truth, nor without seeing my family again, nor without getting revenge on the people who betrayed me. I screamed. But there is no way to defend myself, never mind the knife. I do not even know where my flint is, the only thing I have. The only thing I had was my God-given gift. I smashed the unlimited gotcha button repeatedly and prayed feverishly for something that might help me out of this, as my gift was my one last hope for escaping this hopeless situation. I guess this is the last thing I'm ever going to see, I thought to myself. Just as I'd given up all hope, a glow bright enough to illuminate every corner of the deepest part of the abyss burst forth. A moment later, the level 1000 monster was minus ahead and the rest of its body had been sliced and diced, as if the creature had already been carved into chunks from the moment it had wandered onto the scene. The speaker, who didn't have a single speck of blood on her, stood between me and the dead monster. She had long, jet-black hair tied up into a ponytail and adorned with a long ribbon, and she was wearing a maid's outfit, like the kind you'd see worn by servants in upper-crust households. She was also wearing pristine white gloves and stockings, and even her shoes were spotless. She was somewhat taller than the average human woman, and long eyelashes framed her large, round eyes, while her rose-colored lips were accentuated by a nose with a straight bridge. All of her features were perfectly proportioned, and her skin was so pale it was nearly translucent. It was as if a divine power had put every last effort into creating an exquisite doll. Her statuesque face alone would have been more than enough to attract attention, yet she was also very well endowed, and the considerable chest area of her maid uniform billowed. No man would be able to resist trying to steal a glance at that bust. Yet her hips were so narrow, she looked like she might snap in half. Her limbs were long and slender and matched her stature perfectly. In short, she had a truly incredible physique. She turned to me, and her eyes trembled with pain as they landed on me. She then dropped to one knee, like a knight in the presence of a monarch. She said, "As for my lord's wonderful features and skin as beautiful as pearls. Although I might have overstepped my boundaries, I could not stand the sight of my lord's injuries, so I took the liberty of healing them. I sincerely apologize for my selfish actions." I shouted in happiness. "No way! It doesn't hurt anymore. The pain! It's gone!" I checked myself over and found that someone or something had pulled the arrow out of my leg. In fact, I wasn't wounded anywhere, and I wasn't in any pain. "Master, may I ask to hear your name in your mellifluous voice?" My name?" I said. "My name is Light. Master Light, Master Light, Master Light. What a remarkably distinguished name." The woman clasped her hands tightly over her chest while repeating my name. "As is demanded by my honor as a maid, I shall live only to serve you, to devote myself to you, and I am prepared to die for you," she continued. "On my honor as a maid, I swear absolute fealty to you, Master Light, and I pray that you will retain me." Yeah? The maid must have noticed my confusion at the situation, since she picked that moment to introduce herself. "Forgive me for not introducing myself before. I am the super ultra rare card, level 9999, ever-seeking maid, May." "A super ultra rare card? Level 9999? "Correct," said May. "I am a super ultra rare card that was brought forth by your gift, the unlimited gotcha. I thank you immeasurably, Master Light. As a bird can never be without its wings, and a tree never without its branches, you shall never be without me by your side. As long as I am here, I promise that the hordes of monsters dwelling in this dungeon shall never lay a single claw on your lovely skin." Well, it had taken her less than a second to dispatch that level 1000 monster, a creature so terrifying it was almost mythical, so I was probably safe with her, but I was still having trouble believing what I was seeing. This is impossible. My unlimited gacha only ever produced junk items before. It's never given me someone as amazing as you, Miss May. I mean, first of all, are people even meant to come out on gacha pulls? Master Light, you need not call your maid Miss. You may simply call me by my given name, May. Before I was betrayed, it was natural for me to use Mr. or Miss whenever I was talking to other members of the party. I wasn't used to calling people by just their first names. Wait, I can't, I implore you. Her firm voice and sad-looking eyes made it impossible for me to deny her request. Okay, M.A. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening to this servant's request. What a generous heart, as expected of Master Light, said May. Your magnanimity befits you, Master Light, for you possess the magnitude of a ruler. And as such, your gift, the unlimited gacha, should not have produced any failures. If you will allow me, I would like to examine your gift using my appraisal. A appraisal? I replied. Miss, I mean May. You have the gift of appraisal? People with appraisal were able to assess the attributes of other people and items, and the higher the level of the one possessing this gift, the more that would be revealed to them. Among humans, appraisal was a highly sought-after gift since it guaranteed you work for life. More precisely, it is one of several skills I possess, said May. Amazing! What amazing powers! Anyone lower level than me not able to see the details. As expected of Master Light, I could not see the depth of your powers, said May. You continue to amaze me, Master Light. I could hardly have imagined how much power you possess. Your gift, the unlimited gacha, grants you limitless access to gacha cards, she continued. The probability of receiving a certain card changes with the amount of mana. Rank from high to low, you can receive EX cards, super ultra rare cards, super rare cards, super rare cards, super rare cards, normal cards, and errors. Huh! What does all that mean? This was definitely not something a poor little farm boy like me found easy to get his head around. May tried to fill in the blanks for me. When a sorcerer casts a spell, that magic uses the mana from the air around them. The unlimited gacha appears to produce cards by absorbing that very same mana. However, there is not much mana on the surface world, so the chances of your gift producing an SUR card like mine were infinitely close to zero. However, because there is much more mana in the lowest reaches of this dungeon, the chances of producing an SUR card increased dramatically. Okay, I think I get it, I replied, having not understood half of what she'd said. The bit I did get was it looked like my gift could produce cards as powerful as May on the bottom level of the abyss. But as expected of Master Light, to understand the uniqueness of your unlimited gacha and came down to the lowest floor by yourself just to summon me as expected of someone worthy of the devotion of the maid. You are indeed the perfect master for me to serve, and it is my honor as a maid to do so. May paused, then continued. Is what I would like to say. But to come here all by yourself with this status empty-handed? You could have as endangered yourself if you encountered a monster. Master Light is something the problem. However, as a maid, I will forever be by your side from now on. I vow to never let you suffer any injuries from now on. I told May, who misunderstood everything, the truth. Master Light, whatever is the matter? Oh no, it's not what you think, Miss, I mean May. I didn't come to the abyss by myself. I went on to tell May the whole story of how I'd gotten my injuries and how I'd found myself at the bottommost level of the world's most notorious dungeon, but doing so made me recall how the companions I'd once trusted had betrayed me in such a horrible way, and I was unable to hold back the tears. Once I was done telling the tale, May embraced me tightly, and since she was taller than me, my face ended up being buried in her ample bosom. I'd been so focused on my feelings of despair that I didn't at any point consider that a beautiful woman like May might hug me and smush my face in between her breasts. My submerged face, as well as the rest of my body, turned beet red. Please give me the order. With my name as a maid on the line, I will bring those rotten eggs head to my lord within an hour. But as long as you wield my power, you can befall judgment on those rotten eggs, said May. Wait, May, you can't do that. I understand that Master Light is a kind person, however, mercy is meaningless. I replied. That's not it. I have no means of showing mercy towards them. I trusted them and was tricked. I was pummeled and ended up down here, almost dying. It's because I was weak. I will become stronger and get my revenge on them. And the country that tried to kill me, master or whatever, I want to know everything. I guess you don't think a human like me would be able to do any of that, do you, May? On the contrary. What you desire is what I desire, Master Light. If you wish to execute this act of vengeance on your own terms, then on my honor as a maid, I pledge to support you in that endeavor. However it comes to pass, it is my firm belief that you will succeed in having your revenge and uncovering the truth. Thank you, May, I said after a pause. I am humbled by your words, May replied. I'd been betrayed by a group of friends I trusted, but on the upside, it had led to my unlimited gotcha giving birth to May, a woman who swore her undying loyalty to me. My party's betrayal had angered me so much, it boiled my guts, and I'd felt so hurt by it, I'd wanted to die right there on the spot. But because I'd ended up in the bottommost level of the abyss, I'd met May. About 3 years had passed since that fateful day when I was betrayed by the comrades I trusted and met May at the bottom of the abyss. What were once dark crags occupying that section of the dungeon had been transformed into a smooth, marble-like hallway. The magical lighting fixtures that lined the corridor shone brightly, chasing away any trace of darkness. As I, Light, walked through the hallway, the fairy maids that were lined up in a row on either side of me bowed their heads in deference. All of these maids were beautiful young girls of varying shapes and sizes, and if any one of them were to go up to the surface world, she would find herself in the middle of a throng of men either trying to court her, solicit her for her hand in marriage, or asking her to marry their sons. At ease, I said. Thank you very much, master, the maids replied, their voices bubbling with joy. I waved to them impassively as I passed between them, and even though I wasn't particularly near the maids, the way the stone hallway was constructed and my elevated power level allowed me to listen in on their private conversations. I can't believe Master Light spoke to us. I feel so very lucky. I hope we didn't use up all our luck today. Master Light is so handsome. I want to sniff his hair. No! Just a piece of his clothing would be enough. My face crinkled upwards slightly into an awkward grin as I listened in on their exchange. The maid walking beside me who I'd chosen to be my bodyguard turned to me, the veins on her forehead pulsating with rage. Master Light, please give me permission to put an immediate end to the foolish prattling of these fairies. It's fine. It doesn't bother me. It just shows how devoted they are to me. Forgive me for overstepping, the maid said, after a pause. The leniency I showed to the fairies caused her pulsating veins to disappear without a trace. As we continued to walk, we came to the end of the elegantly constructed corridor and entered an untouched, wide, open space with dark crags that was more typical of the dungeon I dwelled in. This area served as my training ground, so I hadn't altered it in any way. Here, I encountered the 3 people I was searching for. A short, silver-haired vampire girl threw both of her hands in the air and started venting at the girl next to her. I thought I told ya I'm not stupid. Look, I even know my multiplications. 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 3 is 4, see? You can't even recite the multiplication table. Making a mistake multiplying by 1 proves just how unbelievably stupid you are, said the young girl, who shrugged in resignation at the vampire. Her blonde hair was tied into 2 long bunches that stretched all the way down her back, and she wore a witch's hat. The third girl, who was shorter than the other 2, wore a hood with cat ears that fitted snugly over her head. She was currently meowing like a cat. It said 3 women can drive a man crazy with their chatter, but I liked how they livened up the place. It was a lot better than everyone being sullen and bleak all the time. I had my attendant hold back as I approached the 3 girls. So this is where you'd all got to. Reacting to my voice, the 3 girls turned toward me, their faces positively glowing. Master Light! Did ya come to see me? You're so sweet! The vampire girl was an SUR card summoned by my unlimited gacha, level 9999, ancestral vampire knight, Nizuna. Her blood-red irises contrasted sharply with her long, silver hair, and even though she was a shorty, her chest was very large indeed. At first blush, she had the look of a beautiful, sheltered heiress, but as soon as she opened her mouth, it was quickly apparent that she was full of life in a way that belied her blue-blood outward appearance. Nizuna was a powerful knight who wore a heavy set of armor, though mostly just on her feet, arms, and shoulders. Armed with a broadsword longer than her body, she was capable of going toe-to-toe with any monster she encountered. Nizuna, you know full well that blessed Lord Light would never seek out a graceless pygmy like you, the girl in the witch's hat said before turning to me. Bless Lord, I'm ready to have your holy child any time of the day or night. Come, let us away to the bedroom. And if we could, I'd greatly appreciate having some time to bathe so I can wash off this little bit of perspiration that seems to have broken out on me. The girl blushed, her eyes turning seductively moist as she said this. She was also an SUR card summoned by my unlimited gacha, level 9999, Forbidden Witch, Ellie. She was a master of all sorts of elements of sorcery, from magic and witchcraft to the dark arts and spirit charms. Aside from her lustrous blonde hair, another thing that was noticeable about Ellie was that she was around 160 centimeters in height, but because she always wore her witch's hat, she looked a lot taller than she actually was. She had a well-developed bust and a decent hourglass figure, while thick, creamy thighs that would catch the eye of any man peeked out through her irregularly parted skirt. Naturally, her facial features were quite attractive too. Her large, doe-like eyes were so captivating, they seemed to draw you in, body and soul. She frequently invited me to her sleeping quarters, but she was actually a virgin with no experience in the bedroom. And despite her many solicitations, she was a bashful girl, who was quick to flush with embarrassment. Although her advances flattered me, I always turned her down. I'd rather steer well clear of having a child to look after. Meow. The third girl of the 3 mewed as she rubbed her head against me like a cat. Of course, she was also an SUR card brought forth by my unlimited gacha, level 9999, Genius Monster Tamer, Aoyuki. As her name suggested, she had the ability to tame any magical beast, divine creature, cryptid, or rare animal. Aoyuki was the shortest of the 3 girls, and not only was she in a cat-eared hood, she also wore an extra-large collar around her neck. I didn't just come here for you, Nizuna. I need to talk to all 3 of you, I said. Ellie, you can invite me to your room another time. Aoyuki, I need you to sit up straight and listen. From out of the dark recesses, a 4-legged monster suddenly appeared and plodded toward us. The beast was at least 10 meters in length and had a snake tail thicker than my torso. The seemingly sentient tail slithered and wriggled around like a serpent. I'd noticed the monster was lurking there when I came in, but after getting a proper look at it, I realized the creature resembled the brute I'd encountered when I'd first stumbled into the lowest reaches of the abyss. My body instinctively froze due to the trauma of that encounter. Noticing how scared stiff I was, the 3 girls fell into formation in readiness to attack the monster, which was called a snake hellhound. You're really gonna disrespect my master in front of me like that? I ain't gonna make your death quick, bub. Nizuna barked as she effortlessly raised her broadsword, the pupils of her eyes stretching out vertically. To think a training-purpose dog would act so rude to Master Light in front of me. Don't you think you will have a straight death? Said Nizuna in anger. As I thought, we should erase its species both physically and in records. We were kind enough to let it live because of the little value it gave, but we will befall judgment on you for rising a hand against Master Light. I have spared you creatures out of compassion and because I know your utility, But there is no excuse for this attempt to harm blessed Lord Light, Ellie said, a strong aura of bloodlust emanating from her as she opened her book of spells. I must eliminate every last one of your kind from this dungeon and from the surface world, and erase any mention of your species from the annals of history and the literary canon of this land. Agreed. This thing has upset my master. It deserves to suffer a fate worse than plunging into the fiery pits of hell. I took some deep breaths to calm my nerves, then turned to the trio. I'm fine. Stand down, you three. Can't you see the poor little guy is absolutely terrified? They're actually quite cute once you get used to them. I approached the snake hellhound to pet it, and the creature, realizing that its life was on the line here, rolled over onto its back and let me rub its belly. Its snake tail wriggled playfully close to me, and I stroked its cold, scaly cheeks. Well, if you say so, master. I will always follow your instructions, blessed Lord Light. Bro. The three girls obediently stood down. With this distraction taken care of, I was finally able to broach the topic at hand. I've received word from May that our target has taken the bait. I came here to tell the three of you to get ready to move. I'd been so excited to receive this message from May that I'd gone to the effort of relaying the news to the other girls in person, without relying on my power of telepathy like I usually did. Oh. So it's finally happening. Congrats, Master Light. I'll make sure I'm ready for this one, Nizuna said with glee. I for one am not pleased that May was chosen to be the bait for this mission, Ellie said. I could have performed the role perfectly. Or more perfectly, I should say. You, Aoyuki added. I appreciate your willingness, Ellie, I replied. But unfortunately, you don't quite look human. May can easily pass for a human, so she was the better choice for this mission. The big giveaway that Ellie wasn't human was her pointed ears. They weren't quite as sharply pointed as an elf's, but they stood out enough that she wouldn't be taken for being human at a glance. May, however, looked just like a human maid, even if she was a strikingly attractive one. And I'm not just counting on you, Ellie. I need each and every one of you. The three girls seemed taken aback by this statement, even to the point of blushing and visibly trembling. I was very glad they were so devoted to me. Garu the Beastman struck a gallant figure as he strutted down the city's main boulevard, and every person he encountered stepped aside for him. Everyone looked up to Garu and they all scrambled to be the first to pay their respects as he passed. Garu! How are you doing today, boss? Can I ask where you're heading? If you don't mind, I'd like to come with, shouted one. Mr. Garu, is there any chance you can meet my little sister later? She's a huge fan of yours, shouted another. Pay no heed to these strangers. You should really get to know my daughter. Sir Garu, please come visit our parlor and regale us with tales of your legendary exploits, one young beast woman called. We'll be waiting. Forget those young waifs, an older-sounding female voice called. Come to our parlor and let some real women treat you right. We promise to take extra good care of you. Just sit tight, folks. The gathered beast folk didn't say anything else after that, just collectively gazed at Garu with a mix of reverence, respect, adoration, and a few even with jealousy. Those looks of envy, however, just served to feed into Garu's sense of superiority. I'm now the frontrunner to become the next chieftain of the Wolf Men. And all I had to do was bump off one human brat, Garu thought. You couldn't ask for a sweeter deal. As a beast man, you need to know how to use your head and your senses. Can differentiate something just by smelling and complete your job with the best result. The best result? You mean the secret mission of gathering of races 3 years ago, said his servant. Thought I can't tell you anything since it's a job given by the country. It was a really delicious job. I got this much just for killing a brat. Roughly 3 years ago, the Concord of the tribes had roped a boy into their party who they thought could be a master. They'd spent the next 3 months monitoring the boy, but in the end, it was determined that the kid didn't have the makings of a master after all. As such, they'd decided to kill the boy as a precaution, and the party had sought to carry out the deed in a dungeon where there would be no witnesses and where it would be easy to dispose of a body. The party members had gotten a little carried away, however, and allowed the boy to escape. More specifically, they were able to render the boy practically immobile by firing an arrow into one of his legs, but just as Garou was about to end it by slashing him to death, the boy had reached out and accidentally activated a magical teleportation trap. A moment later, the boy had vanished without a trace. Afterward, the party had searched for the boy as far and wide as they could, but they had been unable to locate him. In any event, it had been clear to them that the boy had been transported somewhere else within the abyss, the most notorious dungeon in the realm, and what's more, he'd been badly injured at the time, so there had been no doubt in their minds that the stench of the boy's blood would have attracted the kind of monster that would likely eat him alive. All the members of the Concord of the Tribes had eventually agreed that Light was dead, and they'd relayed this news to their superiors. Upon hearing the party members' account of events, the higher-ups also concluded that there was very little chance Light had survived, and declared him deceased. As a reward for killing off a human who was thought to be a master, Garou attained a status among his peers that made him the favorite to be the next chieftain of the Wolfmen, and all the other wolfmen and beast folk showed Garou due respect whenever he strolled the city streets. The nation's authorities also showered Garou with enough reward money for him to live a life of luxury for the rest of his days. I heard the guys who hired us also formed other parties besides us to look for masters. They're even forming underground societies through professional guilds to that end, Garou mused. Still don't get what a master even is, though. Wonder why the nations are going to so much trouble to find a master. Garou's reward had been generous indeed. Just a few years before, his social status hadn't been anything special and he'd been in no position to be in the running to take over as the leader of the Wolfmen. To put it in simpler terms, it was as if the third son of a farmer had suddenly risen to become the heir apparent of the village chief. Barring any surprises, Garou was a shoo-in to be elected to the position. And Garou wasn't the only one who'd come out ahead. From what he'd heard, everyone else in the Concord of the Tribes had shot up the social ladder in similar ways back in their own homelands. A girl appears in front of Garou and said, "Excuse my intrusion when you are having a meal. Are you Master Garou from the former gathering of races?" A servant shouted, "You bitch! Don't you speak so casually, you mere inferior!" Garou stopped him and asked her, "Yes. I am Garou, what do you want?" "I would like to know where Master Light last went to. Would you please kindly lead me there? I am May, a maid who has sworn her eternal loyalty to Master Light. I am currently searching for traces of Master Light," said May. "Even if it's a slim chance, I still want to find Master Light. I will compensate you properly," said May. "What a huge amount! You can buy a first-grade mansion with this," the servant shouted with big eyes. Garou thought, compensating someone for leading them to a scene of death, humans are really idiots. But that's weird. Did that Light actually have Nobel blood in him? Is she mistaking him for someone else? The whole country looked into him, though. Did we really miss something this big? But if they really did miss something, the elite race dragonet will owe me one, and this woman, she is pretty good one for an inferior. I want some fun. I can have as much fun as I want down in the abyss, and I can even sell her when I am done. All right, Master May, or whatever, I will guide you there, where Light was last seen. Light was really good friend of mine. It is a request from his people. Abyss is the worst dungeon on earth. It's really dangerous to go to the middle floor by yourself. But with my name as the next chief, I will gather my men and escort you there safely." That's enough for today. If you like the story, please like, share, and subscribe.